So welcome everybody to this channel. This is Full Stack Forge Academy, where we code projects from the point of inception. We do some ideation around project and then we develop together and then we deploy it. Difference on this channel is we do real life stuff. We do program exactly what is usable in the market. So at the end of all these tutorial, our target is to have an app deployed, an app that you can go give it to your friends to use, give it to your family, or even sell it and make some penny out of it. Yeah, so it's not just tutorials, but rather good stuff that you can really gain some handy skills around this. So the reason I started this channel is just to document everything that I learn along the way. So the reason I decided to keep it in a channel is as I learn, also I learn with the team, and also I can learn from you guys, those who have been in the industry for some time. But also for the beginners, this will take you from zero to hero. By the end of all these tutorials, this series, and all these playlists that I'm creating, at least you'll pick up something, and you can do something for yourself. So this is the age of AI also. So we have information all around, and also we have AI to help us do some stuff. Yeah, so to cut it short, today I wanted to explain something. So I did an Auth service that guys were asking how I did it, and unfortunately the video that I recorded while doing it, the hands-on, I had an issue with the audio, so I didn't really feel it's good. I tried to amp it a bit, but still I couldn't get the best version of the audio that's uploadable for you guys to enjoy. Yeah, so now I'll just go through it just to tell you what I did. So what that service needs to do is, so right now we have like 3 endpoints that we created. So the first one is for the login, whereby you enter your email address and the password, and then this one now automatically it will go to our app. So here we have loaded, so we load here an environment, we load a base URL of localhost.iliri, and then that's what we'll use in our login page. So that will be replaced here. So as you can see, this is a localhost and then auth login. So if you tap on this, so if I start my service, let me first start the service. So starting our service, we just run it this way. Ensure that the port is 8080. Let me, or either way we can use 8001. So you can just go back and change on the other side, but wait a minute before then. There's Postgres that you need to have it up and running. So for that one, mine I've loaded it on Docker. So I'll just start my desktop Docker in a second, and then we make sure the database is up, and then we start that. Yeah, so here is my Docker. So I'll start my Postgres in here, the container that has my Postgres, and you should be able to load Postgres on port 5432. So there's an issue here, so I think that port is busy. So I'll just try to see what is happening in that. I'll want to see, so let me load up my item and then just check this port, what is or rather which service is running. So I'll just put a list of all services that are running on this port that I'm trying to start my Postgres on, that is 5432, to just see which service is running there, and then I can turn it off. I have my local Postgres in my machine, so I'll just kill this process, and then operation not permitted. So let me use sudo to just do that, and then I'll list again. So it's empty, so I can start my Docker. So you can start this by command, or also you can just tap on your Docker desktop. So while this one is up, then I can restart my service now. And remember, we said our port will be 8001, so that's what I'll use. So I'll just open up my Insomnia and then change, or rather update my variable to 8001, and then I can show you guys what it does. So when you have your login email and password, you can tap on that, then it will log you, give you a JWT token, and then now this token is what you'll use to log in on the other subsequent APIs. So this is what we have been building, is just a start. So the more I'll be modifying it, the more I'll take you through the journey. And also you'll have one for signing up, whereby now you can create an account using this. For example, you can just say change me. You can just say change me 123, and then we say maybe a new user called John Doe, and then we say John Doe. We say John Doe at Gmail, and then we can now use that. So we can tap on this, and once you send, you'll see a user is created by the name John Doe, and then with that email of course, and then the password is hashed. And then you can see the created date and time, blah blah blah, all other stuffs. So we'll also set stuff like these authorities and stuff. So in the later tutorial we'll be doing that within our service, but it's good if we start from grounds up so that you guys understand what really, as you may appreciate as the service is growing. So where did this start? So this started by having our POM file filled up. So there are two ways you can create a Spring Boot application. First is by just having these and then using Maven to download all these dependencies. Second option is using the Spring Boot initializer. That's the Spring Boot bootstrapping platform or a page, just call it that way. So just go to Google and type Spring Boot initializer, Spring Init or Spring Boot initializer. So in here, when you tap on this Spring Boot initializer, you'll be able to generate your app. Say I want Maven or whichever you want, a Groovy, Kotlin or Java as the languages, and then you can pick a version. Then here you can enter your let's say your domain for the app that you're creating. Then you can give it the app name. For example, this one I say maybe say this is procurement system, microservice procurement, and then you put some details, say procurement and stuff like that. And then now you select if you want Java in terms of packaging, and then configuration, you want properties or you want YAML, and then the Java version that you're running, you can put that. So once you explore this, all that this does is it creates for you a POM file. That's the setup file with a number of items, but you see initially it doesn't have a lot of items. So if you want to add more into it, for example, you want to create a RESTful API, you'll have Spring Web added. So once you add these dependencies here, they'll be going into your POM file here. You'll see there's Spring Web here. And then if you want to add others, like let's say for example the Postgres that we were using, the PostgreSQL, can pick that and stuff like that. So that's how simply you add dependencies on Spring Boot. So I'll do another tutorial for how to set up your app, but that has been just a snapshot of what happened. We could now have this project. So in here you'll find we have a number of dependencies. So we have Spring Data JPA, that's so for pulling our data from the DB and writing repositories and queries. Secondly, we have Spring Security, that's allow us now do that authentication. We have Spring Web, Starter Web, which helps us now do those RESTful API or RESTful controllers. And then we have the PostgreSQL, which now is our database wrapper. This will allow us now to communicate, our app to communicate to our database. And then you have Spring Boot test. This one will help you in terms of doing tests and stuff like that, security test, JWT, implementation of the API and Jackson. So all these works together to give us the JWT. And then we have the long book for annotations, which will give us now, will allow us easily annotate stuff like to do with our models and stuff like that, or maybe our methods within our models. So after that, you need to set up application.yaml file. This is now the properties file for your application. That's why I set up changing my port from 8080 to this one here. And then you can set your service name, Spring name. So this one is .yaml, but there's also .properties depending on which one sounds good for you. But for me, I'll prefer this YAML because of readability and ease of use. So it's very easy to define items within here. So once you just understand those indentation and stuff, you'll be able to use these. Let me know also in the comment if you want me to make a tutorial around what happens in YAML, or the difference between YAML and the properties file. So in here we'll define our JPA, that is our Postgres database connection. So we'll be using Hibernate. It's being used under the hood. And also I'll say here, like this one, auto update is just to say if you change anything on the on our models, then it could be able to update our DDL, or rather our DB, or our schema structure, so to say. So here we have data source. Here we are defining the data source where we have our database and stuff. Then we'll set our username and password. Then we give it a class, depending, because this is Postgres. If you use MySQL or different database like Mongo and stuff, it will be different. Then here you just set up now the security using the Spring security, set up the JWT secret. This will be used for our encryption and stuff like that, being a test service. And then this one you can give your time, and now the expiry time for your token. For my case, I've given it 1 hour. This is just for logging, so you can enable it on dev, and then when you go to prod, you can delete it. Yeah, so that has been it. So now let's come to the main application. So this is the folder structure. So this is the main class that comes with the Spring Boot initialization. A number of items I've added all these folders here. So I like to put my configs inside config file just to structure them well, like my application configurations, have configuration to do with the app and stuff like that. So in here you'll find, like, first the folder structure is configuration. I'll put the models differently, which has the application logics, and then I'll keep my exception to globally handle my exceptions, so that I don't throw stuffs into the UI, or rather to the front end, but manage whatever I'm pulling out. Then I'll have middlewares to intercept my request and stuff like that, to modify data and stuff like that. And then I'll have my models here. So a lot of guys will call this one different. They'll call it data, others will call it DTOs, but for me I just put them as models. And then inside models, then I'll do DTOs, and then I'll do entities repository. If I'm having requests that I'm doing also DTOs for requests and responses, I'll just put them here differently. I find it to be an easy structure to use. And then in here I'll just like, now these responses is out, but still I can put them inside here. I usually like to put them inside here, so maybe later on we'll migrate this. And then the services, which has our business logics and all the classes that are functioning, should be here. And then our views, but because we're not making any web application or an app with a lot of views, we won't be using these one now. Maybe you can use them later when you're sending emails and stuff. Or maybe when you're generating PDFs and stuff, maybe we can make use of that folder, but for now it's good for it to be there. So where do we start? So our entry point for this application is our controllers. So we first have this authentication controller, which has all our classes. So I first added this request mapping to just tell these that this is an API, and this is the base URL to this class. So the number of APIs or functions that I'll be creating here, we will go 8080 blah blah blah, what you're seeing here. So we'll go 8080. Let me show you in a second. So we'll go 8080/API/auth, and then now all the other classes that are here will follow up. So like, let's say here I'm having login, sign up and stuff like that. So what do I need first? So there's a number of services that I've just imported in here that I'll show you the function that they do. But in our, let's say in our sign up API first, what we have is, now this one, you're telling it that you are expecting a response entity. Then you create a class name, and then on this register user DTO, this is now whatever I'll be expecting. I expect you to pass password, username, and so this is a model within our DTOs here. So if you come on your model and then DTOs, you'll find it here. So you have the registration model, the register model, and stuff like that. So those ones are what we're picking here. So this request must be that, and then we can also do validation around the same. Then after that, now we start by first using this user model. We just create a user. So we'll go to Authentication Service, and then service will have a function of a sign up. So I'll go to this service later on, but let me now just show you what is happening in there. But okay, let's just check it out so that we're done with that. So in this service, what I'm just doing, I'm just creating a user. So I'm using a builder inside our model. So this is the function where we are having loan book and stuff to do this annotation. So here we are giving each a service name, entity name, data, all constructors, and no argument constructor, and then this builder. Now this will help us. This is how I do my models. Yeah, but this one I did it rather as using the user details interface, just to add and to override some classes within it to enable me do the JWT stuff. So yeah, so I'll just create a instance of this user, then I'll encode this password, and then boom, I just use this user repository.save to save that particular user, and that will create the user for me into the database. When we go to login now, I'll just start from here. I'll have the authenticate method where I'll pick the user. Yes, so we'll have the user DTO. We populate these emails and stuff. Yeah, so that DTOs we create in that way, and then JWT will have this JWT token. This we have a function to generate token here. It will do a number of stuffs, and then we have login response and the way we want the login response to be. So we'll just build that up, and then that's the response that we are returning. So for the two, that's our controller. We have the user controller here, the user service. Those ones are supposed to do some different stuff, but in there I'll explain just we have also our authentication filter. So this will now pick those JWT and stuff like that, and then it will filter, add the authorization for the other methods that you'll be calling, and then put a bearer token, and then this will do the validation of the token to just say the user is if the token is correct, and the user can now log in. So I'll share this on GitLab so that also you can have the visibility, go play around with it, and then see. And also you can just Spring Boot your app from this one, or you can bootstrap your app from this one. You can just pick this, clone it, and then continue now building it to make your Auth service much strong. So there are things that we'll be doing like hardening and stuff on this service to make it much usable. So here you'll have all the services, like for the user actions. Let me see. Authentication service is what now have that sign up and login. So you'll have this, the sign up method, this is the authenticate method, and stuff like that. So in here we have the JWT service also, which does now those security setup for the JWT token itself, giving it expiries and stuff. So also this one you can check, it checks even if the token is valid, if it has expired, and stuff like that. So to bootstrap all these, so you can just clone the repo. I'll share the link in the description, so you can pick that and then run with it, clone it up, and then you pick it from there. So once you clone it up, you just need to have your Postgres running on localhost, and then you just set up these according to I'll publish plus this YAML file so that you can just have it. It's simple because now this one, if you have Docker, is much easier to just start up this container for the Postgres, and then you can test it out and see. Yeah, so that has been it. I didn't want this tutorial to be so long, so let me hear in the comment below what you want us to do next around this, or which part are you much interested in knowing, including the deeper now technical stuff, and then we'll be doing that in the upcoming videos. So thank you guys, has been real. See you on the next one.